In these series of videos, I'm going to go over the work for week 1 math activities. So this one starts with Mondays. So Monday wants you guys to use a Venn diagram, nested circles or rectangles for visual representation to categorize the numbers. So this is where you had circles within circles within circles. So I'll start with a large, I'm gonna do like a oval. Then another one, and another one. And they want you to label it using rational numbers, integers, and whole numbers. So this will be rational. So that means that everything within this circle is going to be considered rational. And that includes these circles too. Then I have integer. So everything within this circle will be an integer. It also includes this circle because that circle is inside that medium circle. And then we have whole number. Sorry, my stand shakes every time I write, so it's a little shaky. Okay, so then once we have that, we need to categorize. So 0, we need to decide is 0 a whole number, an integer, or a rational number. Okay, well, 0 can be counted as a whole number, an integer, and a rational number. So we'll put 0 here. Next, we have -6 9/10. All right, well, we know that it's a rational number because all of these numbers will be rational. An integer number is a positive or negative whole number, and -6.9 or 6 9/10 is not a whole number. So -6 9/10 is going to stay inside of rational number. All right, next we have 45. 45 is a rational number because it can be written as a fraction, 45 over 1. It is an integer because it's a positive or negative whole number. And it's a whole number because it's all the counting numbers plus 0. So 45 will go here under the whole number circle, but it's in the whole number circle, the integer circle, and the rational number circle. So 45 is a rational number, integer, and a whole number. Next, 7/100. 7/100 is a rational number because it can be written as a fraction, 7 over 100. It's not an integer because it's not a positive or negative whole number. It's a decimal. So it's going to stay in the rational number section. Next is 12. 12 is a rational number because it can be written as a fraction, 12 over 1. It is an integer because it's a positive or negative whole number. And then it is a whole number because it counts as one of the counting numbers, or natural counting numbers. All right, -18. -18 is a rational number because it can be written as a fraction, -18 over 1. It's an integer because it's a positive or negative whole number. But it's not a whole number because whole numbers are those counting numbers plus 0. And we don't start off counting -18 when we're younger. So it's just going to stay here as an integer. And last, we have -14.5. -14.5 is definitely a rational number because it can be written as a fraction. But we cannot, even though it's negative, we cannot put it in the integer section because it's not a whole number. It is a fractional number or mixed number. So -14.5 is going to stay under rational numbers. So a common mistake that I see is that whenever students see negative numbers, they automatically put them in integers. Well, we can't do that because integers represent positive or negative whole numbers. All right, so then after you're done doing that, you have to answer 3 questions. It says, can a rational number that is not an integer be classified as a whole number? Okay, that answer is no. If it's rational and an integer, then yes, it can be a whole number. But if we're looking at our two categories or our three categories here, so rational numbers here, everything within this rational number circle is a rational number. So that includes the integers and the whole numbers. But what they're saying is if we have a rational number, can it be a whole number without being an integer? Well, no, because that whole number circle is inside of integers. So something that's a whole number is also going to automatically be an integer as well. So the answer to number 1 is no. Number 2, is it possible for a number to be an integer but not a rational number? Okay, same thing. The answer is no, because once again, if we're looking at that integer circle is inside of the rational number circle. So anything that's an integer is automatically a rational number. You cannot have an integer without it also being rational. And number 3, can a whole number also be an integer? All right, the answer to that is yes. So integers are positive and negative whole numbers. So it's saying, can a whole number also be an integer? Well, that whole number category is inside of the integer circle. So yes, 12 is also an integer because it's a positive or negative whole number. 45, same thing, positive or negative whole number. So yes, a whole number can also be an integer.